I didn't see you come in there. Well, now that you're here, my name's Andrew. I'm from Grip 360, and today I'm going to talk about grip. Hey everybody, I'm here with my friend Kenji. Today we're going to be going through a series of 4 grip exercises. The first exercise that we're going to do today is the kettlebell hammer curl. So I'm going to have Kenji turn around and face the kettlebell for me, please, sir. He's going to take a firm grip on the kettlebell, right in the center of the handle. Good. Closing up all his fingers. Gripping as tightly as you can with all of your fingers, particularly that pinky finger, okay? Locking that wrist into place. We don't want to have any motion through the wrist. We want to make sure it's nice and stiff. Okay, stand up for me. Great. Now lock that shoulder back, elbow fixed to your side, and you're going to grip as tightly as you can and perform your curl. Good. Nice and controlled. Slowing down the eccentric portion. Good. That's great. You can rest there for a moment, Kenji. Generally with this exercise, we like to do it for about 3 to 4 sets of about 10 to 20 repetitions. You can go a little bit heavier and a little bit lower in the repetitions, maybe a bit as low as 6, but I probably wouldn't go any lower than that. One common fault that we can see when we have this exercise is sometimes Kenji will, as he's coming up into the exercise, start to bend his wrist and allow it to go into this sort of position here. Show us that, Kenji. Good. Show us a bad one. Yes. Good. We don't want this to happen because this is going to put a lot of strain to the top of the wrist. Okay. It's also just not going to be a very ideal position. You can rest there, Kenji. Okay. So always a tight wrist, a tight hand, squeezing as hard as you can with your fingers, and also trying not to allow our shoulder or upper arm to drift forward. Okay. We want to keep everything sort of locked back since we're just trying to train that forearm and that elbow region. Okay. Good. Very good. Nice. That's great, Kenji. So the second exercise that we're going to do today, we're going to be training the explosiveness of our fingers and their ability to basically contract quickly, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to take a plate. I'll demonstrate this one for you, Kenji, before we have it done. Okay, we're going to take a plate. It can be any kind of plate. However, I think a bumper plate or one with a thicker diameter is going to work a little bit better for us for these purposes. Okay, we're going to start it with both hands. We're going to quickly drop it. Try and make sure not to drop it on your toes. So maybe use a plate that you're for sure going to be able to catch. Okay, you're going to quickly catch it with the opposite hand. So we're holding with one, switching to the other. Dropping, switching. Contracting fast and powerful. Okay, just like so. So I'm going to have Kenji do it. I'm going to correct some of his faults. Okay, so Kenji's going to start off holding with one hand. Good, and quickly switch. Exploding with all the fingers. Good, nice. One common fault is that sometimes people have a tendency to kind of pull up really high and drop it from a higher distance, and then there's not really much room to catch. So sometimes Kenji, you're gonna do like almost like a high pull, yeah, and then try and catch. See how his arm kind of jerks down like so? Kind of a common fault. We wanna keep the weight down here by our waist. It's much more easy to catch when it's not moving from a very far distance. We're training our hands, not our shoulders and our elbows, okay? So dropping, good, just like so. Nice and smooth. General recommendations for this one is about 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 20 repetitions, same as the last exercise, making sure that you're able to close your hand fully each time. If it starts to slip out of your fingers, either use some chalk or maybe lower the weight. All right, guys, we're here for exercise number 3. So the next one we're going to be doing is going to be working on wrist flexion and wrist extension. So what I have set up here is a kettlebell attached to a resistance band hanging from the sleeve of a barbell. So what we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves up about an arm's length away from the barbell so that our elbows are nice and straight. We're going to place our hands over top as well as our thumbs around the bar. And we're just going to basically do a wrist curl towards ourselves all the way up, nice and smooth, elbows relatively straight, all the way up until the kettlebell reaches the top of the barbell. When we get to the top, we're going to make sure that we control the weight all the way down to the floor. We're not going to just let it slide like that, okay? So we're going to slowly control all the way to the ground, making sure to get something out of the eccentric, okay? After we've performed about 3 sets of 10 to 20 repetitions, we're going to switch the direction of our hands. So instead of pulling towards ourselves, we're actually going to pull the back of our hands towards ourselves, so going into wrist extension, okay? So we're going to start pulling the knuckles up. This way is generally a lot harder because most people are not nearly as strong at wrist extension as they are at wrist flexion. Okay, and just like before, we're not just going to let the weight slide down like so. We're going to control it all the way down. Same thing, about 3 sets of 10 to 20 repetitions. This is going to burn. All right, everyone, we're here for the last and final exercise of the 4 in the series. Okay, what we're going to be doing now is working on our finger strength what we're going to be doing with this barbell is basically essentially a finger curl. So what I want you to do, Kenji, is pick that up with a good deadlift technique, please. Good. You can also do this out of a rack. That way you can set the height a little taller. That way the deadlift technique doesn't really matter as much. Okay. What Kenji is going to do here is he's actually going to allow the barbell to slide into the tips of his fingers by opening the hand, and then he's going to explosively close his hand and squeeze the bar as hard as he can. Good. He's going to keep the barbell nice and tight to his leg, not off of the body at all. Okay, squeeze, and again, slowly into the fingertips. Good, and squeeze, good. Hold there for a moment, Kenji, if you don't mind. One way we can make this exercise a little bit more difficult is to add a little bit of wrist flexion. So what Kenji is going to do, he's going to hinge his hips back slightly, just giving him some more room. Closing his hand, good to start. Opening it up until it's in the fingertips. Opening up until it's in the fingertips. Excellent. And as he closes his hand, he's going to do a bit of a wrist curl. Good, closing into a wrist curl. Then back into the fingertips, closing into a wrist curl. Good, squeezing the barbell as hard as you can. Good, Kenji, you can set that down. So generally for this one, again, 2 to 4 sets of about 10 to 20 repetitions. Whenever we're working on our forearms, our finger, and our grip strength in general, we want to take the time under tension up to be a little bit higher. So that's why I'm recommending a lot higher repetitions than I would for a lot of normal exercises. We really want to fatigue these muscles of our forearms and our hands. And generally, since they get a lot of daily use, it's going to take a lot more to really get a big metabolic effect in them. So what we want to do is take those repetitions really high and make sure that we're having a lot of time under tension. So generally, for almost all of these exercises, we want to work towards a higher rep range, or at the very least, under a lot more time under tension. All right, guys, in conclusion, these 4 grip exercises are a great way to start adding some direct grip work into your routine. Generally, what I like to do is tack these on at the end of an upper body day. I probably wouldn't do these prior to a deadlift session or anything that's going to be really grip intensive. So generally speaking, I'd put them at the end of a workout, whether that's the end of a lower body day or the end of an upper body day. You don't have to do all of them, but picking 1 or 2 and adding them for maybe 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 20 repetitions is a great way to start building up that grip. One thing that's really important is not to add this to the end of every workout. Even though your forearms are generally quite strong and recover well, if you do this every single day, you're probably gonna not recover too well. You're gonna start getting maybe some nagging elbow pain. So make sure that you're kind of spacing these out, maybe 2 times a week to start, and see how that goes for you. If you really like this information and you like the content that we're giving you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash the like button, and then if you really want to, you can follow us on our Instagram if you want updates on our daily life, things that are going on at the gym, and then us as trainers. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching.